love comfort food. I especially love comfort food that can swing fancy or casual. My roast pork loin with cranberry barbecue sauce is one of my favorites. I love fruit-infused barbecue sauces. I'm convinced that a good sauce can take a meal from good to great. When it comes to the pork, it has to be perfectly cooked. I'm gonna do that today with the help of an awesome digital thermometer. Let's get into this, starting with the sauce. All right, you can't have cranberry barbecue sauce without cranberries. So I've got 6 cups of cranberries here. Now I like making a big batch because I like some of that sauce to slather over my pork, and I also like having extras for serving and even sticking in the fridge. I've also got a 1.5 cups of water here. To that, I'm also gonna add some brown sugar for sweetness. I've got an onion for that savory element. Now let's talk about some aromatics that are gonna make this really delicious. I've got some ginger, so delicious, and some garlic. I've got some apple cider vinegar going in here, and even a little ketchup. Last but not least, I'm gonna season with some salt and pepper. Now, one thing that's so great about this sauce is that I literally put it all into one pot and I bring it to a boil on the stove, let it go for about 15 minutes. You're gonna see it reduce and kind of caramelize. This is literally as simple as bringing this to a boil for about 15 minutes or so and mixing all of these delicious ingredients up. You'll notice that it will reduce by about 1/3 and kind of take on the consistency of cranberry sauce. But then from here, we're gonna blend it up into a smooth barbecue sauce. I love it. So my cranberry barbecue sauce has been going for about 15 minutes and reduced by about 1/3. This is just how I want it. So much flavor packed into this sauce. Now at this point, I've let it cool slightly and I'm going to transfer it to a blender and make it really silky smooth. It's gonna be perfect for my pork. Now we'll simply puree until smooth. Prettiest barbecue sauce I've ever seen. Isn't that stunning color? Oh, and it smells so, so good. I love doing those fruit-infused barbecue sauces. They may seem a little crazy, but I'm telling you, they work and in such a good way. We'll never get over how beautiful this sauce is. My cranberry barbecue sauce is one of my favorites. Now at this point, I want to split it into 2, about half and half. It makes quite a bit of sauce, and if you have anyone at Thanksgiving that doesn't love cranberry sauce with their turkey, this is a really good pairing. Now that my sauce is done, let's talk about that pork. Now, pork can be one of the most intimidating proteins to cook. It's notoriously overcooked, but it really isn't that hard, especially when you're using the right thermometers. So I've got my pork loin tied together here for even cooking. In fact, I want to add 1 more piece of baker's twine just to make sure everything cooks evenly. After seasoning it, I'm going to take that beautiful cranberry barbecue sauce I made and glaze it. I love making barbecue sauces infused with fruit. My mom always made a peach barbecue sauce growing up, and I loved it, especially during the summertime. But I love an apple barbecue sauce or a cranberry barbecue sauce. Really, there's no rules when it comes to adding fruit, a little bit of sweetness to that barbecue sauce. And this one happens to be really nice for the fall and winter months, and a stunner at the holidays. Finally, I'll add some chicken broth or stock to the bottom of my pan here. This just ensures to keep that meat moist. The last thing I need to do to make sure my pork cooks properly is use a thermometer. Now, I like to use my Thermapen for everything, but it can't go into the oven. Internal temperature is so important when it comes to cooking pork, so I like to use the Thermoworks ChefAlarm. What's so great about this is that it has an oven-proof probe and cable. That means it can go in the oven with my pork. That way I can follow along as it's cooking and watch that internal temperature until it gets to the perfect temperature and I know it's ready to come out. Now what's important is that we get the tip of the probe into the center of the loin, just like that. Now, because that probe and cable are oven proof, I can simply shut the oven door, and I've set my high alarm to 140 degrees. That way it will alert me once it gets to that perfect temperature. All right, my chef alarm says that it's done, so let's check this pork. One of the great things about the chef alarm is that I don't have to open the oven door. I lose 50 degrees of ambient heat every time I do that. But I want to double check with my thermopin to make sure it's right at 140. Look at that, it is. Perfection. Can't wait to take this out and let it rest. All right, my pork has been resting for about 10 minutes or so. That means I'm ready to slice it. I'm gonna transfer it to my cutting board. You'll see that beautiful, rich red color from the cranberry barbecue sauce. Okay, let's do it. Now, I like my cranberry sauce nice and smooth, but if you like texture, you can absolutely leave it with some texture like this, and it's really beautiful either way. All right, let's transfer this to the platter. Man, this looks so juicy and perfectly cooked. And finally, a little fresh thyme for a garnish. Perfect results every time.